Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sit Down and Shut Up. It's Juzzy on this Saturday night. Flash, what's good? Relax for a bit. Brain too tired for fighting games. Dude, when I played MMOs, I always end up playing DPS. Man, I'm not big brained enough to play tank or healer at all. You know what I mean? So anyway, welcome to Sit Down and Shut Up. Another episode of this. Today we have Banner. Let's bring them on. Hey, Banner, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right?
All right, cool. So, tell me a little more about what's going on with you, man. I know you've been going through a little bit of character crisis recently. So, switch to Chun, is that right, or still kind of waffling back and
Yeah.
forth, or?
So I think right now I took a big break from the game for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I took kind of out after another. So I'm back. I
Mm-hmm.
wanna I wanna learn someone else besides Manon. I think my
Okay.
thinking is that I would like to learn a slightly more normal character
Okay.
to be able to figure out other bits of the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the normal characters I tried just aren't as fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've picked Chun because I think she would appeal more to my play style
Okay.
because I like to play a little bit more about neutral and defense.
Okay.
And she feels like it's obviously I could do that with anybody, but I think she would appeal more to my play style.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
But it's been about 10-ish days since I like came back and picked her up.
Okay.
I did my places this morning and I fucking suck.
Dude, it happens. It doesn't matter like what rank you are or what level you're at. Like you can get into a new character, you can lab a bunch of stuff and be like, oh, I feel ready. And then second get hit in the mouth, you're like, oh crap, what do I do? And then all of a sudden you find yourself trying to do Manon combos, right? So it's like
Mhm.
it happens to everybody, I think. So
Yeah,
okay.
I've definitely noticed I've lost games because I would know I need a buffer level 2 right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I would do quarter circle back kick, which is Manon's level 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's Chun's level 3.
Yeah.
So I would just sit there not doing anything until I died.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, cool. That said, I know you have your Manon still a master, right? And have you played them at all since then, or are you still kind of just on Chun pretty much all day?
I have I have not played Manon since
Okay,
getting back.
okay, that's
No,
fair.
it's I it's not that I don't want to ever play her again. It's just I think I would really benefit from just trying to learn other bits of the game right now. And I
Okay,
think trying to learn a new character is what I want to do.
okay, okay, cool. Give me one sec here. I think my game is not showing for some reason. Hold on. Uh, One second.
Also, for absolutely no reason at all, Chun got a big buff recently with the Sagat update, and so I'm like, oh dang, I gotta
Yeah,
try out that new buff,
yeah. Half of the battle, honestly, is picking a character that you don't mind staring at for the next couple thousand hours of your life, right? Because
Yeah.
like I mean, I know we joke about like the costumes and all that stuff being what they are, but realistically speaking, like you are more likely to stick with a character that you like versus a character you don't like, right? I
Mhm.
mean, pretty. It sounds like such simple advice, but it's something that I think a lot of folks that go through character crises like these tend to go through, right? It's like, oh, I've hit some kind of wall, or I want to try something else with a character. Maybe something's not gelling or clicking anymore. That type of thing can happen, and then all of a sudden you're like, um, you know, finding other characters that you do find cool, and you stick with them, right? And then it clicks more. So
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of nuance though, I think, in terms of what I think you're going for, which is to quote unquote learn the game a different way. Something about Manon in particular, right, and grapplers in general, is that they force a game plan that is a little bit different, right? And I'm pretty sure you know this pretty well at this point, right? Is that like the game plan and the way people react to you is different on Manon versus what I
Yeah.
think you're running into with Chun or even Mai, right? I know you were playing Mai for some time as well.
Yeah.
Because the inherent thing of the grappler is that they have a 50-50 built in, right? Like I can walk up to you as a grappler and you have to do something, right? Otherwise you get command grabbed.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. That
For,
is that is a big problem I'm finding with my obviously, and then with Chun is I definitely have a very hard time opening people up because it's not a skill I ever had to train with Manon. If I was
mhm.
in range of command grab, you automatically had to be scared of me.
Yeah, and there's a set of responses that you kind of learn to look for as Manon, right? Like, oh, I can
Mhm.
get an idea of how they want to react to me, and then you just react accordingly, right? So the main thing is that I think that the same idea applies to any character, really. The main difference is that there's no built-in 50-50 anymore, so you have to kind of read them a little bit better, if that makes sense, right? And not that, I mean, because grapplers are all about reads anyway, right? Like I say that, and grapplers are all about the hard read. But the nuance there is that the movement and reaction to what you do is going to be in response to not the 50-50, but instead like a button or a movement or something else, right? So it's going to look different, obviously. So okay, cool. So I think what will help in this case is let's do what we did last time. I think so. I know it's been a long time since I think you've done this, but we'll run our first to 3.
Yeah.
I gotta get an idea of where you're at, what's going on, and all that. I don't know why I don't have. Okay. And then from there, we'll take a look at. We'll do a little replay review. So we'll take a look at one of the replays in our game, and then one of the replays you sent me. And then from there, I think we can take a look at the lab if we need to for any specifics, if there's anything in depth we want to get into. And then if there's time, it's Saturday night, so I don't know if you have plans or whatever, but we can run it back and see where we're at after that.
Yeah, I'd love to run it back.
Cool. So I invited you to the room. Go ahead and queue up. Just like last time, I'll deafen during this so that I don't influence anything you're doing. Right? I may not rematch right away as I continue to talk through what I'm seeing. So with that, if you're ready, good luck. All right. So Banner on Chun. This is definitely a difference from what they've been playing before. They've been playing they played a lot of Manon. Took a long break. Got the swimsuit buff. So let's see what's going on. They're in Diamond 1 though, so I think they must be doing okay. Oh. Okay, caught him moving a little bit there. Oh, the walk up. So the biggest thing I'm seeing right now is that they tend to go for that drive rush throw, right? Oh, I could have finished them. The thing about non-grapplers is that when you do that drive rush there on block, right, the strike throw mix is less scary because I can delay tech through it, right? Which is what's happening to him right now. So he goes for the drive rush on block. Oh, nice parry. Oh. But if... Oh. Okay. So you can see there, I think the main habit there is that on drive rush, they're not really comfortable pressing buttons or trying to go for plus frames. They've been going for throw every time. Nice parry. Okay, I'm not too mad about that. That's just a B&B drop. Not too mad. The neutral interactions, though, is really what I'm paying attention to, right? I mean, the combo drops are combo drops. It is what it is. But the main thing I'm paying attention to here is how they're hit me neutral, right? And I think the two issues I can see right now that we can kind of work through is the spacing, right? So like that move right there, obviously not great on whiff, and then that right there, right? So if they always go for that kind of drive rush pressure, right? Oh. And they always go for block, or sorry, throw right there. They're gonna have a really hard time opening people up. Oh, I can't DP. So I think they were trying to do the instant overhead there, or the overhead rather, try to get out of that situation. It's very difficult to play neutral in the corner, obviously. Yeah, I think it's just button familiarity. Okay, almost there. That was better. I think the what you need to be doing there is a slightly different combo route, but that's okay. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Wake up option makes sense there, actually. They've been kind of getting bullied in the corner, so going for that is actually okay. Again, I think the main thing here is the familiarity with spacing, right? Like, I'm not too worried about the interactions where he drops a combo, but that right there is going to be brutal, right? So if he does that every time, it's very difficult to win because you can be running out of meter super quick, right? Nice wake up. Didn't get the cross up, I think. Are they gonna tech? Doesn't tech. Okay. So, that throw loop is actually not real, or it's less real than it used to be. You have to back roll in the corner, and if you back roll in the corner, Ken's throw loop is actually a 1-frame link. Nice. Okay. Oh, very nice. Oh, nice. Oh! Okay. So, I think there's a couple of things we can talk about that will make, I think, an immediate difference in terms of how they're approaching the game. And then I think from there, it's really just a matter of cleaning up some of the combo execution. So let's bring it back on. Hey, buddy, what do you think?
Not good.
Okay. So the execution stuff is whatever, right? I'm not going to harp too much about that. That's just part what it is. You had some hits, you got the conversion, and then, like, you ended up getting Hasanshu instead of what I think you wanted, which is probably the other... I think it's a different special, right? Stance or whatever into
Yeah, I
SBK.
wanted stance into medium kick into lightning legs.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my extremely big issues with Chun is I get so focused on my execution, which is not good, that I feel like I'm playing like I'm reacting to whatever you're doing, and if I guess wrong on what you're doing, I kind of just get bowled over. And occasionally I will get a hit in, but then I drop the combo, and then I would burn out really quickly.
Yeah.
Because
So
she's really drive hungry.
yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I feel was something we can kind of look at, right? So let's take a look at, I think game 1 here is probably the one we want to look at. So one of the things I was noticing was that whenever you go into a drive rush cancel on block, right, I think your immediate kind of reaction is to try to go for a throw. Right, I think on the 6 or 7 times that happened during our set where you were able to land kind of drive rush cancel on block, instead of confirming, or not confirming, but instead of going into some sort of block string or some other type of pressure, you almost always went for, if not always, went for a throw of some kind. So that can be problematic for a couple of reasons. One is that, like you said, Chun is very drive hungry, right? Like, she needs that to extend her pressure. She needs that to driver's cancels, right? Because a lot of her, like, whiff punishes and stuff, the reward happens when you spend drive, right? You're able to get into, like, stance, into spinning bird kick or something like that, right? So when you land a hit, right, even if it's on block and you go into driver's cancel, you have to try to mix up what you do and use those plus frames to get something else out of it, right? So it's a little bit harder now, at least for, I'm not sure if the change to stand light punches was universal. I have to take that look at that. But ideally, when you are able to get plus frames, that's your mix-up opportunity, right? So I have to guess if you're going to go for attentional pressure, right? More buttons. Are you going to go for a throw? Are you going to go for a shimmy? Are you going to go for, whatever you're going to go for, right? If I'm always going for a defensive option that beats the throw, then you're going to run out of drive really fast, right? Because you only get 2 driver's cancels, in a short period of time. And if I break the throw, then you spent 3 bars for essentially a little bit of space, right? And that can lead to, you losing the game ultimately because you run out of drive, right? You're at a drive deficit and it's difficult to come back from that. So let's take a look at the game though, and we can see, and hopefully we can point out where I think we can try to improve. So
I don't really use block strings. Manon is not really big on like block string presser. So I just never really learned them. So I'll admit I don't really know what I would do there besides jab, jab, jab.
That's it. that's all you would do. Okay. So we'll take a look at an example here, and I think we can talk about
also,
what makes sense.
Every time I would go for a throw on Chun, that would be an occasion where I would try to grab Manon, and I'm just not used to not having a command grab.
Gotcha. Because a lot of times with and this is just an effect of like the grappler, right? So when a grappler drive rushes at you, you do have to guess, right? When you're taking the pressure, you have to guess it's a 50-50, right? Like quote unquote 50-50. You can't really option select against the command grab, right? You have to jump or you have to do something else, right? Like you have to make a hard read, right? You have to jump, backdash, reversal, whatever, right? But you have to make a read against that. You can't really option select against it most of the time. So when you do a drive rush, like when you do like say Manon stand medium kick at the drive rush, that's a true mix up in and of itself, right? Like I have to guess what you can do next, and if I'm wrong, I get hit, right? And then that the whole skewing on what one I want to take, all that stuff happens. But with a character like Chun, who's a little more strike throw, in the sense that it's more quote unquote, she doesn't have a command grab, you can kind of option select against what she does, right? So the idea behind doing block strings really is to kind of enforce the plus frames to get me to do something else, right? So we'll take a look at an example when it comes up, and we can talk about what options I want you to try to consider when these things happen, right?
Okay.
So good there, good? Right here, right? So right here, oh, they changed the replay buttons. Hold on one sec, sorry. I think... Oh, wow, okay. It's actually kind of nice now. All right, cool. So right here, right? So you land the forward medium punch, right? And you go into driver's cancel, right? This is what this is. So from right here, you have some options.
I'm sorry, are you streaming?
Oh, shoot, yeah, sorry, one sec. My bad. Oh, my bad. It's the weekend for me too, apparently.
I didn't want to do the whole thing of being like, yeah, I totally.
No. I'm glad you said something, because I was like totally not even thinking about it. All right, hopefully it's up. Can you see it now?
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what I was saying is that right here is kind of one of the examples I was talking about. So let me go back a few frames and we can talk about what's happening here. All right. So right here, right, you go for your forward medium punch, right? Makes sense to do. Driver's cancel. Right, and then right here is a mix-up opportunity for you, right? So you can go into, so it's on block. You have to kind of confirm that it's on block, right? You can't go into like the back heavy punch or whatever else combo that is on confirm, that is a hit confirmable combo or whatever. So you can go into sort of safe pressure, right? So from right here, right, you go for throw, and you can see I just delay tech, right? So I'm delay teching through this. So what you can do here instead is you can go into basically light pressure, right? Light string pressure. So it would look something. Now I don't play Chun, but I can tell you in theory this is what you would kind of want to try to do, is something like this, right? So 3 lights or 2 lights or some light string, right? Basically what this is doing is that on the very first hit of this light string, right, that jab is not going to be plus, right, from the driver's cancel, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check to make sure that's the case. I know sometimes most lights are going to be plus after that, but let me make sure. So if you go into your 4-framer, which is Chun's crouching light punch, I think your standing light punch is also 4 frames. Yeah, so normally on block, the stand light punch and the crouching light punch are minus, right, -3 and -2 respectively. So what this means is that if you go into like a crouching light punch from here, right? Just one. You're +2 now, right? +2 and close enough to throw. Right? So what that means is that with that plus frame, with those plus frames at advantage +2, that means your strike throw mix-up is now real, right? I can't mash against this. If I do, I'm going to get counter hit by either a follow-up jab or a follow-up throw, right? So normally for a grappler, you don't care, right? You go for a command grab right here, and I have to guess. I have to jump, backdash, or a reversal, or I have to press a button to try to, or I have to just block it out, right? Because you're plus. I can't do anything anyway, right? Technically. So this is one of the scenarios that I think, like you were saying, when you were coming up as Manon, you didn't really have to consider these plus frame scenarios because you didn't have to, right? It's just like, let me go for a command throw, right? Like there's no reason.
Also, this isn't going to be a Manon downplay session, but she generally does not get a lot of really great plus frames, even off of drive pressure. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things they added in season 2 is now the back heavy punch can give you the +1.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time she's more just, I'm going to poke you until you get frustrated, and then I drive rush in, and then you have to guess. It's not like a plus frame situation.
Yeah,
always with her.
She would normally counter poke, right? So she doesn't really drive rush in and generate plus frames. Instead, it's like, oh, let me whiff punish or counter poke you with my stand medium kick or crouching medium punch or whatever it is, and then I drive rush in, get my back heavy punch, I go into my combo, hit grab combo, or I reset you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Go for a command grab. So this is one of the things that I think if you're going to be playing a character like Chun or even Mai, right? This is one of the things that's like this is a core mix-up situation in Street Fighter 6, right?
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of plus frames in general, right? Not even talking about just Manon getting that in season 2, but like a lot of moves in the game, there's not too many that are actually plus by themselves, right? Most of them are actually minus on block. You know, chaining lights and like certain moves aside, right? Like there are some moves that are plus and kind of egregious, but they're very few, far between. Chun doesn't have a ton of them, right? If I'm not mistaken. So realistically speaking, here, as you're kind of coming up, this is one of the things that I think you'll need to kind of integrate into your game plan is how do I take advantage of situations where I have plus frames, right? Especially the +2 situation, because the +2 situation is essentially where the strike throw becomes real, right? So what that means is that I have to guess delay tech or block it out, right? Like if I, because what you can do from here too, if you're +2, right? If I go back to this, right, I can shimmy here, right? So if I go for a delay tech after that jab, or if I go for 2 delay techs, right, like delay tech into the jab and then delay tech after, then I get shimmied, right? And then from there you can
Yeah.
get whatever combo you want, right? Like crouching medium punch or whatever Chun's party starter is into corner combo, right? Corner carry, or whatever you want, right? Well, however that goes. So like generating like understanding that type of plus that situation, I think will go a long way because I feel like when we were playing, you were getting a lot of those situations, right? You would land something on block, right? Maybe it's on block, whatever, but you would hit me, right? You'd have plus frames, but then you always went for a immediate throw, right? So I just had the delay tech, and all of a sudden you're losing a ton of bar, right? And you're not getting any reward for it. So what will happen eventually, right, is if let's say it's not going to be perfect, obviously, right? There's not really a universal answer every time you do this, right? But the idea is that you are trying to establish that you understand your own plus frames, that you're able to enforce them in a manner such that I have to respect them. And then once I'm respecting those plus frames, you can now do something else, right? You can try to get greedy with the button. You can go for shimmies. You can try to just throw me immediately, like that immediate throw you did. That would work maybe later on in the set when I've stopped delay teching because you've blown me up for it, for example, right? So that's the type of thing that I think you're going to have to incorporate more and more into your game. And it's going to be really hard because, it's just something I don't think you've really had to do before, like, to your own admission, right? It's just like, why would I bother with this mind game here when my mind game is actually the true 50-50, the command grab, right? Like, that's way better reward, way better, right, overall in terms of like the amount of work that you have to put in. You just make your read, and if they're wrong, they take a shitload of damage, right? One way or the other, right? So yeah, we'll see this throughout the set, and we can talk more about like how I would approach those situations when you find them. But let's take a look at the rest of the games here and the rest of the game here and see how it kind of plays out. But that's that situation that I just looked at here that we were looking at. This is going to come up for you, I think, a lot in your games because that's just Street Fighter 6, right? Button into drive rush, sometimes it's blocked, right? Sometimes you don't get the movement you wanted from them, or whatever, the whiff punish didn't quite happen, or you're spaced a little too close, and then it's on block, and then you have to take the plus frames you get, generate some kind of advantage, right? So moving from there, right? So instead I'm just delay teching, right? So I just delay tech through your pressure here, and now look at the drive situation, right? Is that you spent 3 bars and your spacing is still, you haven't really gained that much space overall, right? Like if this is the center of the stage back here, you're closer to the corner than I am, right? So it's a bit of a, it's a bit tough on your resources for that, right? It was good, right? Nice little counter poke there, pretty good. And then you get caught moving here, right? So this, right?
This is
like,
something
yeah.
I was playing with Hung today, and this is something he pointed out to me too. A massive flaw of my gameplay is that I'm not really comfortable just sitting still and blocking. I always have to be moving. So I move back a lot, and this is something I've noticed too, is I will get clipped by every crouching medium kick because I'm never sitting still. I'm always moving back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think on Chun, it's more pronounced because the reason I move back so much is because it is easier for me to do some of the inputs if I'm not crouched.
Mm. Hmm.
I'm really hoping that goes away as I get better with her because it is killing me.
Yeah, yeah, it's something that, and if you watch any of the streams in the last month or so that I've done of this, it's something that everyone struggles with, right? It's like one of the initial things that I think stops a lot of folks from progressing past sort of like the initial master phase, getting out of like 1300, 1400, is not getting clipped like this, right? So I just do what I'm gonna do, which is I'm gonna press my crouching medium kick delayed, right? And I assume you're gonna move. And it's very common because it is, right? It's like I just pressed the button, it was blocked, right? Like that's exactly, you pressed the button, it was blocked, right? Or in this case, you whiffed it. You hit me the first time, right? I think this is a hit right here, right?
Yeah.
So you hit me, you whiff the second one, unfortunately, right? And now you're like, oh shit, I got to get the fuck out of here, right? And then you get clipped, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it happens to everybody, all levels, all the time, right? Well, maybe not all levels, but a lot of the folks that go onto this and come on here and we talk about this stuff, it happens to a lot of them, right? And again, it's because you haven't really necessarily been being punished for it before, right? I think what happens a lot of the time is that people get too wrapped up in trying to quote unquote play correctly, right? Oh, I'm only going to press when I'm plus, or I'm only going to do a thing when it's quote unquote correct to do, right? And that sort of thing ends up, ends up getting hit, right? Because it's like, realistically speaking, you whiff this button, and it's still like neutral technically before that, and you are kind of minus in recovery animation, but not everyone's going to just press right there, right? A lot of folks will just assume that if they try to press, they're going to get hit. But there's two things that come into this that I kind of want you to pay attention to. Is that the first thing is the timing of the movement, right? So if we look at when you actually move, it's only a couple of frames, right? So like here, right, that we're neutral technically, right? So if you look at the frame meter, like your recovery is done, right? So if we count the number of frames before I press, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like 3 or 4 frames basically, right? And then another 8 frames or 7 frames for the move, right? So obviously you can't react to that, right? That's too fast. Like 7 frame, you can't react to that, right? So realistically, that is 10 to 11 frames where you've decided to move, right? If we look at the inputs here, so it's not like I'm predicting or like reading the future or anything like that. I'm just kind of predicting that you're going to move at a cadence that makes sense to you, right? And I'm trying to read that, if that makes sense. So if you're trying to back up out of pressure in this situation, ideally you can do one of two things, right? You can try to back up immediately and see if that gets you out of the situation, and if not, you can just plant, right? If you had just like not moved at all and just planted, this crouching medium kick is just going to get blocked, right? Maybe it goes in driver's cancel. Maybe you have to deal with the plus frames after that, like I go into some sort of mix-up. But I do think that's better than getting hit, right? So let's see, what do I actually do from here, right? So I went to a driver's cancel, right? And this is a buffer. Like I can't hit confirm this, right? So I'm going into the driver's cancel. So if you had blocked that, then you deal with a mix-up, which again is a better situation than just getting hit, right? The second thing that I want you to pay attention to is the spacing, right? So if we look at this, right? So after this hit happens, right? All right, so you hit me. You didn't cancel anything. That's okay. You're in recovery here now, right? And we look at the space in between the characters, right? So going for another crouching medium punch here. I mean, if you look, this is whiffing, right? So if we look at even with the extended hitbox that she has on this move, right? Which is kind of absurd if I think about it, right? Like this whole thing is a hitbox rather, but this is whiffing. Right? It's not going to reach. So from here, what I would say is that you have to pay attention to the space between the characters when you want to press a button. Right? And this is something that I think you'll pick up as you play more and more Chun. Well, obviously, I'm not expecting you to know all the spacing, all the moves like immaculately. You just picked up the character, right? Like let's be reasonable in terms of what our expectations are. But this is something that I think the next step for you would be to pay attention to the spacing, right? If you don't think your button is going to reach me, then don't press it, right? So you could have just as easily not done anything here. And even if you had done nothing here and just backed up, maybe you actually get a whiff punish on me, right? So if you look at the situation right here, right? right? Maybe not in this case because I'm too close. I'm trying to hold back to move out of that, and it's hitting me, right? So maybe you wouldn't be able to get a whiff punish there in that scenario. But if we look at the situation overall, right, here, the crouching medium punch you're trying to hit me with is going to whiff, right? So that means you probably don't want to press it, right? That would be the takeaway from this. If you had space, if there was more space, maybe it makes it easier to actually back up and hit me with something, or potentially you press something else, right? So you have plus frames here, so maybe you just press something else, right? Whatever the case may be. Now again, some of that timing, obviously this is a replay, takeover. So what I do here is responding to something else. So maybe, it's not quite the scenario I'm trying to illuminate here, but the takeaway I think is the same, right? Like this button is going to whiff, right? And that's just something that I think you'll need to work through as you get better with a character, is understanding what buttons to press in what situation, right? What makes sense to do. Like, is there a button from here that actually would reach, right? Like, was there something else we could press that might reach, right? Because again, you hit me, so you do have some plus frames and advantage here, right? So is there something else you can press, right? Right, that would have landed. Right, that lands. That whiffs because I crouch, right? Right, so like that type of understanding of your buttons, I think will help a ton, right? One of the things that I did notice was, and this is just, I think, again, picking up the character, is that you were kind of whiffing in neutral more often than I think you normally, like more often than I've seen you in the past, or when we've played in the past, right? You don't whiff that often when we played in the past, right? And that's really just a function of a new character, honestly. So you're trying to get a sense of like where I can stand, how far do we need to stand. And you have to remember, too, that Chun's walk speed is a lot more than Manon's, right? Like, Chun can move, right? When you hold forward, she moves probably a lot faster than you used to, right? So there's a little bit of nuance there as well, because when you move, you're essentially creating or closing space, right? So the combination of where do I need to stand and how long do I need to move to get to that point is now completely different, right? And that throws off all kinds of timings for people, right? So that's something that I think, like, you'll need to work on moving forward, is that spacing, right? Understanding what buttons can I press, when can I press them, and where do I need to stand to do so, right? Because I think what will happen for you is that once you get an idea of the spaces you need to stand at, you're going to whiff a lot less, first of all. You're going to hit things on block a lot more, which is good. That's what you want, versus whiffing, right? And then from there, you're going to notice you're probably getting whiff punished a lot less, because you're actually pressing buttons that aren't whiffing anymore, right? Like, a lot of times damage you take is because of whiff button in this game, especially because of the recovery frames. So if you're whiffing less, ideally that means that you're going to get whiff punished less, right? So anyway, where'd you get tagged, right? Right, back up. And I think this is okay, right? You have meter to spend there, but again, you go for immediate throw, right? So this is what makes this situation a little bit tougher, right? So two things that I think we can change in this scenario in particular. The first thing is that I would argue that using a wake up low is better than the wake up medium punch here, right? So if we look at right here after this, right? Alright, so you're getting up. Now, if you're going to commit to a button drive rush here, I think the low makes more sense, right? And I think pressing it immediately also makes sense, right? So if you're reading shimmy, right, if you're reading a defensive option, if you wanted to wake up with a button, I think you just wake up with the low and go with drive rush, right? Now, you didn't quite wake up with it here, so my guess is that you were trying to react to something I was doing, right? So you saw me back up here. I didn't do anything. You decided you were going to take a throw. I didn't do anything, and then there are a couple of frames where nothing happens, then you press, right? So I think overall this is fine, right? The unfortunate thing, again, is that you go for a driver, she gets teched, which is tough. But I do think that if you think about the defensive options that are coming up, going for a low instead of the medium punch here might make a little more sense if you wanted to wake up with a button. If you wanted to delay something or do that, I think maybe just pressing the button is also okay. You don't necessarily have to go into a cancel or a drive rush cancel, right? You could just press the button and see what happens, right? Because if I just block this, you get a little bit of space back, right? There's some pushback. And
Yeah.
there's no like downside to this, right? Because if you press crouching medium punch here, right, which is what I think you pressed, right? Crouching medium punch. Or is it a jab? I think it was a crouch jab, actually, right? Let's see. Ah, it was a jab. Okay. All right, so delay jab here, right? This is totally fine. You don't need a driver's cancel lights, typically, is what I'll say then. If you were going to do something, medium might have made sense here, because even if on hit this happens, you're going to be scaled pretty hard. And then again, like I think you went for a throw here, which gets teched, and then now you wasted some resources, unfortunately, right? So I do think that if you went for a delay jab here, I think that's actually that's a fine defensive decision to make, but you don't have the driver's cancel after that, right? You could have just hit the jab. I'd have to block it. You're still in a kind of a crap situation, like, in the corner, but at least you have meter to work with. You're not in danger of being burned out, and you can kind of fight your way out by pressing Chun's normals, right? She has outstanding buttons, and you can use them in that situation, right? So, but unfortunately, you do end up getting teched here. So now the situation is really rough, right? You're down on drive, you don't have super yet, and you're stuck in the corner, right? This is a tough situation. So that was good. Good hit. Didn't driver's cancel, and that's totally fine, right? Because you burn out for it. So I think that was totally fine. Poke me with that, hit me. I think that's fine, right? Every time you hit me, right? Every time you hit me from here, even if there's no full-on conversion or driver's cancel or anything like that, every time you hit me, you get more space out of the corner, right? So that should be the goal for you, especially now as Chun, right? Like trying to get more space back. Because what happens in the corner, right, is that you no longer have the ability to create space, right? So if you think about the neutral game, right, and how quote unquote footsies works, is that within the footsies triangle or whatever, right, one of the main ways to play that footsies game is to be able to create space, right? So you can't whiff punish if you can't create space, right? So you have to be able to do that in order to play that aspect of the game. And when you're in the corner, you can't create space anymore because there's nowhere to back up, right? So like any sort of like this space that you have back here, this is more than enough for you to play neutral again, right? It's still a disadvantage, don't get me wrong, but at least you can now move back and forth a little bit. You'd be able to create and reduce space at will now, as opposed to when you were stuck in a corner where you couldn't do that, right? So
Yeah.
see, this was sick right here. Just like walk up, forward medium punch. This is great. This is exactly what you want to be doing, right? Walk up, counter poke me, hit me, right? This is good. Good, right? Right, and then you go for that. That happens again, right? So
Yeah. This was me trying to figure out, like, okay, what's the range at which I hit you with forward medium punch, you walk back, can I get you with heavy punch? This is me trying to test out, like, what can I poke with at every range. I've played a lot with D4, and he mains Chun, and he will do very very good job of like spacing out his normals to get you with her long pokes at ranges you don't expect. So I'm trying to do some of that too.
Yeah, 100%, right? Because the idea is that if within the neutral game, if you will, right? If you're able to walk up and stuff whatever I'm trying to do, right? By pressing the button at a better timing, maybe you're pressing a longer range button at a better timing, or maybe pressing a faster button, walking up, and I'm not expecting it. The more you hit me like that, the less inclined I am to press anything, right? Like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to get counter hit now. So then you can just walk up and throw me, right? Or you can walk up and try to do something else, right? But if you take away my ability to kind of counter poke you, like try to hit you as you walk into my space, that opens up some avenues for you in terms of how to play neutral, right? So like this aspect of the game, I think, is something you're gonna have to pick up. And to be fairly honest with you, it is probably one of the hardest parts of the game in general, right? Like I think this neutral aspect that we're talking about here is so nuanced that like even at my level is still, I'm not even like, realistically, I'm not at the level, like if you compare me to like the pros or even like 1800 MR guys like that play, I'm not even close to that, right? That's how hard this aspect of the game is, right? So learning this is going to go a long way, I think. It's just something you'll have to pick up. You're going to lose a lot going through it though. I'll tell you right now, from experience, you're going to lose a lot trying to do it this way, but in the longer term, it's going to be better for you, right? So anyway, you do a good job here, right? This is good stuff, right? You're able to hit me as I'm trying to move, right? But then here's where I think you kind of, this decision here is a little tough, right? The driver's cancel here. It wasn't on hits and you go for a throw mix up here, which gets teched, right? So, again, SO6 resource management game, right? So this situation now is very difficult for you, right? I'm incentivized to just close the gap with the drive rush and try to burn you out now, right? Like this is a precarious situation for you now, because if you're burned out in the corner, that's really hard to do anything. So let's see how this plays out. Right, and then unfortunately that happens, right? You try to go for the parry there, you run out of meter, right? So again, like I was trying to drive rush cancel behind, or drive rush from here. It doesn't come out, but it didn't quite matter. It worked out for me anyway, right? But that's exactly what I was saying, right? I'm incentivized to try to burn you out now, because 1 or 2 hits is enough for that, right? So, right, and then you're kind of stuck in the whole like, oh, I need to jump fireballs and I drive rush and buffer DP. It's tough. And then, the DI
Here I was like, I'm fucked. I'm not gonna waste. I'm not gonna waste level 1. I'm just gonna take.
I think that's the right move. I think that's the right move. Maybe try to jump, maybe do something else, but you're just like, if the DI comes, it comes, right? I'm not gonna try to break it with my level 1, right? So I think that's the right move. But yeah, if you take a look at the situations though, overall, I think if you look at the times you did get a driver's cancel that went into a throw, I think that ultimately that's kind of what led to this scenario, right? Is that you were kind of low on drive most of the game, right? But if you look, like you were actually able to hit me with buttons, right? Normal buttons just hit me. There wasn't like a huge conversion necessarily after that, but you're counter poking me here, right? This is good stuff, right? Being able to hit me out of things, like that's good. That's what you want to be able to do. But these drivers cancels into throw that get teched, like that's always really difficult to try to recover from, right? Because you're at a drive deficit, and because of the tech, you actually get thrown back way far, and I gain meter, right? So if you look, like how much meter I get back,
Yeah.
right? I get a whole bar. Oh, he says it every time. Okay, that's actually pretty funny. But you can see the amount of like bar I get, a whole bar, and super, right? So like that's not great. That's really bad, right? When that happens. So you'll have to consider what you can do out of those situations. And we can take a look in the lab after and kind of take a look and see what might make sense out of those situations, right? At least that way we will, prime the flowchart, if you will, right? Like get you thinking about how we can utilize those plus stream situations to try to generate some advantage, right? So. Right, so whiff button, I just kind of whiff punish it, right? So again, I'm not too mad about this right now because you're learning the character, right? I'm not going to be mad at this. In fact, if I had walked up, right, if you look at the space here, it's not too far off, right? If I continue walking forward, maybe that clips me, right? So again, I'm not too mad at that right now. I would say though that again is something you'll have to work through in the lab, practice the spacing stuff. Good parry. Unfortunately, it gave you the low parry instead of the overhead. But this would have been a good perfect parry had you landed that. Good challenge, right? So you were.
I haven't played too much of the game since the Season 3 update, so I'm still trying to get used to how perfect parries work now.
Gotcha. Yeah, you just have to block. Yeah, you have to block it correctly now. That's really all the main differences. But yeah, I mean. You did it. It would have worked if you had, maybe if you've been playing a little more used to the change, but that was a good perfect parry. And then a good challenge after that, right? So this button you press after here, perfect, right? Ken is minus after that, right? So good DI. Then I said, oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but it is what it is, right?
So that is supposed to be as my basic DI punish. It's back heavy punch, stance, light kick, any version of spinning bird kick, but medium, I believe, gets me the best plus frames afterwards. I believe I'm 34 plus 34 after it.
Yeah.
So that was what I was trying to do. This, I don't even know which punch that is. I think I just fucked up.
Yeah, I think what happened was you might have pressed kick a little early here, because I've tried to play Chun, and this like stance button thing just doesn't click for me either.
Yeah, it's.
But
you'll notice in other games we play that after drive rush I'll just do 2 crouching medium punches, and that is definitely the easier, less good way to get into spinning bird kick than it does less damage. It does get kind of the same ender, but like 5 or 6% less damage on Chun is going to add up, because this is not a super high damage character to begin with.
Yeah, some of the, at least mid screen, right? Yeah, it's just how it is, right? Execution is what it is, right? If it means for now going for the more consistent, easier combo with less damage, for now, I think that's also fine, right? Like the crouching medium punch, back heavy punch, crouching medium punch into spinning bird kick. I think that's fine too. You don't have to use stance cancels if they're not consistent yet. That said, though, that was a good DI, good neutral interaction, right? You made a read on me pushing a heavy button, pressed it, and would have gotten a punish for it, right? So again, I'm not mad about this interaction like being dropped, like that is what it is. But the interaction that led into it, that you won it, right? So that's totally fine. Right here, right? So
I think here I was just straight up 2+.
Yeah.
I think my throw just whiffed.
And I think you weren't expecting it to hit, right? Because you have better combo routes from here other than throw, right? You kind of autopiloted into driver's throw again, right? So if you look, yeah. Definitely I'm still in recovery, right? But had that been on block, right? If I had blocked that, that throw would land, right? So if we look here, because you counter hit me, right? I'm actually trying to press a button.
What is Ken saying? It's like he's moving his mouth. It's like,
it's so weird. So in slow motion, right? If you look, when I move the frames, their mouths move, right? This happens every time. Like if you look at Chun, her mouth's also moving. So
now I wonder what they're saying to each other.
Yeah, like, oh, how did you whiff that throw? I'm standing right here, right?
Why can't you just reach out? Your hands are on me.
You're on my shoulder. What's going on here? But yeah, I think like this right here, you just weren't ready for the hit, right? So this.
Yeah,
this hit,
I think I caught myself off guard and then reacted with throw because I just wasn't expecting it, and then was 2+ for the throw to even work. So I said, "Fuck."
Yeah, exactly right, and that's something that I think is another sort of mindset shift, if you will, when it comes to playing a character like Chun, is that you press the button expecting it to hit, right? You don't press buttons expecting them to whiff or be blocked, right? You expect it to hit, or you should be expecting it to hit, right? Don't let your dreams be dreams in that case, right? Because if I block here, right?
It's definitely something on Manon too, because you're right. If I do standing medium punch or medium kick on into drive rush with her, it's not the end of the world if it's on block, because it's still on you to guess, because now I'm in your face in a plus situation. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Whereas here, I feel like I'm just inherently less scary.
Yeah, because I can option select against what you're doing, right? Like I can't option select against command grab, but I can option select against your strike throw, right? So if I delay again, can't delay tech the command grab, right? So that changes some of the kind of defensive situation, right? But yeah, I think that, again, you just weren't ready for this to hit, right? So you land this hit, you get the drive rush. This should have been full combo, right?
Yeah,
is what it is, right? So again, what I want you to take away from this though is that when you press these buttons, expect them to hit, right? Especially when you go to drive rush cancel, like expect it to be a hit, right? Expect it to have hit. The confirm happens here, right? That's right there is your confirm, right? You have 10, 14, 15 frames or something like to confirm if it hit or not, right? So that's what you have to get used to doing. You can kind of get away with it on Manon because, again, you're going to input a command, or you may have already decided what you're going to do regardless if it's going to hit or not. But with a character like Chun or any sort of like non-grappler character, this sort of thing becomes really important, right? Being able to hit
also
confirm.
with Manon specifically, if you do drive rush into crouching medium punch, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like an extra little buffer on confirming if you got a hit. Because if I didn't hit, I'm still plus after the crouching medium punch. It's still on you to make a decision.
Yep.
So I kind of got like extra time to like mentally think, did it hit or not? And if it did hit, oh, okay, do my combo. Or it didn't hit, maybe I command grab or throw them, or wait to see what they do here. Whereas here, I just inherently have less time to make a decision.
Yeah, I think that, let me just double check something here, but I'm pretty sure like there's not really like a kind of go-to button you can just drive rush into. I want to say that maybe stand medium punch would be the one you want to do if that were the case, but I don't play Chun, so we may have to talk to someone who does to confirm that. But that is something you could do, right? So stand medium punch for Chun is plus on block regardless, right? So if you go into that from a drive rush cancel, like drive rush cancel into stand medium punch, you'll be +5, right? Which is a pretty significant advantage, right? So if we take a look at that, or I can't do it here, obviously. But that might be something you can consider, right? So maybe have to ask the Chun main on what their kind of go-to buttons are on block. I want to say stand medium punch is a good one because, you know, you're drive rushing in, so it's going to hit. And if I block it, you know, you're +5, which is pretty big, right? So anyway, that said, you know, unfortunately whiffs, right? And then I actually delayed tech here, right? So I didn't react correctly to the whiff throw. I just kind of was like, oh, and I just delayed teched, right? So I ended up grabbing you, unfortunately. But the real kicker of this, though, the part that I think really kind of want to emphasize here is look at your drive gauge from here, right? From the situation. Land the hit. You have a little over 4 bars here, right? Now let's see what happens at the end of this whole interaction. Like now you've lost 4 bars of drive in that interaction, right? So 3 bars from driver's cancel. Now that should have been a hit confirm, and I think that would have been worth the spend, and that's fine. And then an unfortunate interaction here where I did a defensive option that may not have made sense, but it worked out for me, and you get punish countered for it, right? So that kind of thing can happen a lot, right? When you kind of whiff what you're supposed to do, your opponent does a defensive option thinking that's what's going to happen, and then this kind of thing works out, right? So, but the real takeaway here is that, unfortunately, your drive situation is now pretty rough, right? Now, again, I'm incentivized to throw a fireball, drive rush in, try to burn you out. Okay.
I decided I would just take the DP there because it would be. I just couldn't afford to try to parry. So
this is fine.
You know, if he hits me this time, he gets me.
Right, and then again,
there I dropped again.
It's fine. Again, I was like, oh, that sucks. But this is good, right? The fact that you're able to land the parry, land the hit, like that part is actually the hard part, if you will, of playing the game, right? The execution part you can kind of grind out. But you did a good job there doing the parry, making the read, and would have gotten a good hit too, or a good conversion there potentially, had you gone through it, right? So now let's take a look at what happens here. So you get hit, but why? All right, so you whiff your combo here, unfortunately. So what happens next? All right, so you get counter hit. Why? Were you coming out of stance? Is that what happens?
In the very last frame before I get hit, you'll notice I started backing up.
Oh, it's a counter hit though. So
maybe it is.
Must be stance recovery.
Maybe it is stance recovery. I never would have thought about that being a counter hit.
Let's see. Serenity Stream. Yeah, so Serenity Stream leaves you in counter hit state for the entire animation of this. So if I hit you in this, it's counter hit.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, and then if no follow up. Okay, basically you just got counter hit, and because you're coming out of stance. There's like some frame stuff about how long you're in stance or whatever, but the takeaway from this is that you get counter hit because you're in stance, right? So you couldn't even move technically from here because you're coming out of stance, right? So even if you try to move, it doesn't work, right? So I think like there may be a way to cancel this or some other option you have coming out of this, but you'll have to talk to a Chun main. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that.
I think my only real option would have been to try to make a decision. I could go for
like a light kick.
I believe I could go for that little low, like a light kick, or maybe a low punch to try to like trip you up. But I think I made the wrong option, which is just give up on the stance.
Yeah, like do nothing, like recover. Because I'm pretty sure the light kick. Well, you have to talk to a Chun main about what makes sense in that situation, right? There might be something you can press that would at least force me to block, so I couldn't just hit you. Maybe it ends up being the light kick, maybe the light punch. I couldn't say one way or the other, but the idea though is that staying in stance probably wasn't the right thing. Yeah. Alright, so how did this happen? It looks like you were trying to do something. Let's see. Crouching medium punch, drive rush cancel. It's getting up here. Yeah, and then you try to drive rush cancel here. So let's talk about this interaction. I think this is going to be interesting to kind of break down. So after you get knocked down, you're recovering here. I'm kind of walking into a space that I think is a little uncomfortable for you, right? Also, in my head, you're still recovery probably, so this might be why this works more than not. But I walk into a space where it might be a little too close, and then I just press my big button, right? Like you can see, like this is actually a little bit too close for the stand heavy punch, I think, right? But what I'm kind of banking on here is that you'll try to press a button as I walk up, right? Like, you didn't wake up with a button because they're too far, right?
Mm.
Like, from right here, waking up with like a 4 frame is probably not going to work, right? Because it's too far, right? For a 4 frame. So since I think you're not going to, since in my head I'm thinking you're not going to wake up with a jab or a 6 frame, I just walk up with my bigger button, right? Like that's what happens here, right? And what ends up happening is that you kind of delay your button because you're still in recovery here. Now your recovery is technically done right here, right? Right here, technically. But it's hard, right? It's hard to like just mash the button here because I could do something that'll punish that, right? So instead you kind of wait for me to move forward. And then right when I'm here, you're like, oh, that's kind of close. So you press your button, right? And then I'm kind of preempting you with my bigger button, right? And that's what happens here. So like this kind of neutral interaction, I think is something you'll have to pay attention to in your replays more to see the timing and rhythm of your opponent and how they play neutral, right? So a big part of this game and 2D fighters in general is that control of space in between, as well as the rhythm of your opponent, right? How do they move? When do they move? When do they decide to press buttons, right? Like, my job as your opponent is to throw off that rhythm, right? So I kind of walk into a space that maybe doesn't make sense for me to press a big button, but then I press it anyway, hoping that you're going to not mash something right away, and maybe like react a little bit late to what I'm doing, right? Because I kind of pressed early, right? You see, I kind of preempted and just pressed it. It was a little close, but I pressed it a little bit early, right? If that makes sense. So trying to get a sense of like how your opponent like wants to do stuff is a big deal for these type of neutral footsies characters, right? Because with Manon, and I know we keep comparing to Manon, but I think this is like really helping in terms of like the differences in the characters for you. Like you can just kind of walk up and press your stand medium kick because it's a good button, get the plus frames out of that, and then force a situation if you wanted to, right? So like you may not be able to do that as effectively with Chun in overall, right? Because the damage output is not enough, right? Because if you land a couple of command grabs, like it's worth it to spend. But for Chun, it may not make as much sense to spend there, right? Like you're going to be running out of drive, and your opponent's not going to be closer to dead, right? That makes sense.
Yes, I think something I didn't really think about with Manon is the kind of the snowball situation where even if I was down, if I have like 2 good guesses in a row, the entire tide of the match could shift. Whereas with Chun, it's not saying I could never do that with Chun, but right now, I mean, look at my combos. I'm not like, I'm not turning the tide of the match on one good combo because my combos stink.
yeah. 20%'s not quite going to cut it anymore, right? Like with Manon, you're getting 30% plus, 40% closer to 40 if you have 5 medals, right? Like that makes a huge difference on one read, right? But right now, if you make a good read, right now for you, it ends up being 20%, 25%, something like that, which is not obviously as high, right? So it means you have to win more neutral interactions overall. So, but the thing I want you to take away from this part is that when you walk into someone's space, it's going to elicit a reaction of some kind, whether or not they realize it, right? So when you walk into range of your button being able to press and hit them, right? What do? Do they walk forward and try to challenge you? Do they back up? Do they jump? Do they reversal? Do they do something weird, right? Do they drive rush? Do they try to parry, delay tech, whatever? But there's some sort of reaction or response that's going to happen when you do that. Just a simple act of walking in, right? So even this, right? I'm actually hoping you press something late or do nothing. Like if I land this on block here, it's going to space you out to where it's going to be difficult for you to really do anything. Well, I mean, it's already safe anyway, but it's going to space you out a little bit such that it's difficult to really do anything, right? It kind of space traps into itself because stand heavy punch for Ken is absurd, right? I get lucky in that you decide to press a little late, but the idea is that, again, I'm trying to elicit a response from you as I walk into your space and then apply whatever counter I think is going to come out of your response, right? So if every time I walk into your space, you press a button, that means that I can either walk up and press something faster, right, like a stand light kick or something that has kind of good range, that's faster, or I can walk into the space and out of the space and then try to whiff punish your button response, right, for as an example of like what can happen there, right? So that's something that I think people struggle with, is because that thought that's happening, that thought process happens every second of this game, right? Every interaction, every time you walk forward and back, every time you move into spaces and change that space in between, that's the sort of thing you need to be evaluating, right? Again, it may not matter as much as you go through Diamond because people generally don't have great spacing overall at this rank, right? It's more important to be able to execute combos and get out of Oki situations and get into Oki situations. But I think as you progress, you're going to find that you'll be more successful overall with a character like Chun if you can manage that those neutral interactions, right? And be ready for them. I'm not saying you're going to win every interaction. That's impossible, I think. But paying attention to how your opponent is reacting to you is paramount to being able to play a character like Chun, right? So, and then from here it's just conversion, right? So, again, if I were to take anything away from those replays there, the two big things I would say would be, well, I guess three technically. The first thing would be making sure that when you do a driver's cancel on block, that you go into some sort of light string pressure or something other than just throw every time, right? Change up what you're doing there. The second thing would be spacing overall, so making sure you're not whiffing buttons and making sure that you are pressing buttons that make sense to press at appropriate spacings, right? Chun's stand heavy punch goes really far. You can press that from far away, but you can't really press that from up close, right? It's kind of slow and get interrupted. Similarly for a jab, right? You don't press a jab from far away, and if you're up close, though, you can't because the range no longer matters, right? Yeah. And then the third thing would be the combo execution stuff, which I won't harp on anymore from here, but that is something you do need to eventually work on, right? Being able to convert the hits you were landing into more damage, right? Like, the idea is that the more damage you do per interaction, the less interactions you have to win, right? So that makes things easier to do. Okay, cool. So while I bring up the next replay, you have any questions or comments so far? What are you thinking?
No, I think we're covering everything pretty well. Okay. Something else that was kind of messing me up on Manon before I took my big break was I don't really use my lights very much, and someone in the Manon chord, who's like pretty high MMR, sat with me and said you gotta work on like using your lights to create more space, especially when you're like walking forward or back, because light is not there to like convert into sick massive 9k damage. It's there to make them not want to just walk up next to you. Yeah, and it's something I've been conscious of in Chun because she does have what might arguably be the best jab in the game. It's crazy.
Absurd.
So I'm trying to get used to using it as like my don't you dare just walk up to me.
Yeah. And I think after we look at this replay, we can hop in the lab. We can talk about some of the autopilot stuff you can do.
This one is going to come down to, like, I'm still trying to figure out Sagat. I don't know how to fight him.
Oh, okay. That's fair. You want to look at the Cammy one instead? Would that be better for you, or is this one?
Yeah, fine? I think that would. This one is going to be a lot of, I didn't know he was plus there.
Oh, okay. I pressed the button and I don't know, like, the attacker hit me, and why is that plus? Yeah, I got you. Let's take a look at the other one then. It might be better.
The Cammy one is definitely frustrating because I fought so many Cammies in this server, and I should know better. But I was just kind of struggling with a lot of Chun stuff.
Hey, every Cammy plays differently, man. Yeah. Every Cammy in the Discord, if it's all the ones that we know and love, they all play different. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that. But let's take a look at this one. Also, Jonan1, thank you for the follow. Sorry, it's like an hour later. Hope you're still here, but thank you for the follow.
Also, it's very frustrating to be like trying to do your ranked placements and just play solid, and you're like losing to Sagats with club names like Chun-Li, Foot Job, and Jury Feet. And, like,
yeah.
I'm trying to take this game seriously.
It's so hard to try to learn a new character right now because everyone's playing Sagat, right? Like, he just came out, so anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, so right there, right, we see the delay tech is prevalent in Platinum 5 through Diamond, right? So as soon as your driver's cancel came out on block, they just inputted a delay tech, right? So 3 bars, throw mix up, they delay tech to defend it, and now you're in kind of the back foot, right? So okay, good block. Good challenge, right? So well, I mean, it worked out rather. So the Cammy player went for something kind of greedy here, right? So normally on that +1 situation, if they go for like a jab or something, you're going to get clipped here, right? So, right, if you look.
Also, maybe this is just me coming back. I'm not going to say coming back down to these ranks like they're lesser or anything, but more just like, well, this is a Plat 5 Cammy. I wonder if I can
Get away.
kind of like challenge them a little
Get
bit
away
more.
with this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had won the first game, so I was like, okay, maybe
Okay.
I can like figure something out. Maybe I can like challenge this Cammy because I have a feeling they're not gonna deal with some situations very well.
Okay. And that's fair. And I do this a lot, and it could be, I don't know if you want to call it scrubby on my part or whatever, but I do press and challenge plus frames more often than I think most players at my level do. And a big reason for that is because I think the respect of the plus frames, in my opinion, needs to be earned. And you said you played them one game already, right? So if you've noticed them going for...
I'd won the first game already, so I was like, okay.
So if you notice them going for like crouching heavy punch and a crouching medium punch, which is not real, right? There's a gap there. You can hit it, obviously, right? Then do this, right? This is perfect. Okay, so what I will say, though, is that Chun does have a light string conversion from there, right? So I think it's like jab,
I don't know what it is. I probably should look up.
No big deal.
Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out like light strings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
There's just not something I did on Manon.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that too much. But I will say that those light string conversions, like those situations that you get out of this, become important, right? As you play. So I'm not going to harp on it too much. We can take a look in the lab in a second or after this to see what you can be doing flowchart wise.
I could probably have just done jab,
legs,
lightning the legs, just for a little tiny bit of damage.
Yeah, and a knockdown, right? Or not knockdown, sorry, plus situation if it's light legs, right? So, or if you had charge, you can go to like light SBK and get a knockdown that way. But that's you can optimize that. That said, though, let's take a look at what happened here. So after this, all right, so it looks like you went for a throw, and they immediately
I went for a little tick throw there.
Yeah, and they immediately ticked.
They managed to delay tick. I was like, okay.
So actually, it looks like they went for a throw also. So they saw this, and they're actually inputting a throw already. So that's why you get the delay tech, right? So you get the meter from that, right?
Oh my god, the one guy who's like, oh my god, if I intentionally put myself at -3, then I can get a bar back. He was right.
I know, right? Reading the future on that one, right? Okay, so unfortunately,
this was just dumb. I don't exactly know what I was going for here, but this is a bad DI.
Yeah, went for a read, my guess, some kind. Didn't quite work out. All right. Good challenge, right? That's totally not real on block.
Yeah, and that's just me having thousands of games with Flash and Splash and knowing like, oh, that string is not real. You cannot do that to me.
Yeah, Flash does it all the time, right? Just autopilots the target combo into the dive kick. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, good recognition, right, on that part. So, that is something I should mention too, is that you don't use as many fireballs. I think it's something you probably have to get used to, also, right? I know it's charged and you have to get used to it, but
I've been messing around with a bit with Akuma to like learn like a Shoto. He's just like a practice room character for me, and he's who I'm trying to learn fireballs on. Chun is rough because her charge fireball, I just haven't gotten the timing down. So I really only do it off of like setups or knockdowns. Like, they're knocked down and having to get back up. I can time it like perfectly because I already know I'm going to have charge. In neutral, it's not happening unless I'm like thinking about it.
Gotcha. It's something that I think you'll just have to incorporate into your game at some point. So Chun's fireball is great for covering her approach. It's great for just kind of controlling space in general. So it's a tool
I know the rule of thumb is light is for her to like advance behind because it's slow, and heavy is like the jump scare because it's like not reactable. It's way too fast.
Yeah, and there's some cancels too that you can do, right? So like if you get the back medium punch you can do that into a fireball, right? There's some combos that you can just kind of do cancels out of, especially for like a back heavy punch, or sorry, the back medium punch, because you're already charging, right? So you can counter hit with that into a fireball, and that's fine, right? So something you have to consider adding to your game plan, though. Maybe don't have to add everything at once, but it is a tool that you're going to use as you climb up, right? And it's going to be important because similar to like Ken's fireball, you use it to clear space, right? Cover your advance, all that stuff, right? So it's important to add.
Yeah.
Here, this was something that we talked about, right? So the Cammy walks up into a space that kind of sucks, and you're like, I don't like this. As soon as you try to back up, they tag you, right? So it's just I'm definitely just like
still not comfortable with just standing my ground with Chun.
Yeah,
So
you
I
can.
tend to back up. I back up way too much.
Yeah, it's a very hard habit to break because you may not have been being punished for it, and with Chun's walk speed, you may be getting away with it in some cases. But you can
It's
challenge.
definitely like a player by player thing too. Some players are just gonna let me back up because
Yeah,
they're afraid to whiff too.
hundred
But some
percent.
players, are just gonna be like, oh, I'm up close. I better start pressing buttons. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, yeah, and your job is to identify that kind of player, and then figure out if you should be standing your ground or not, or even challenge. Right? You can also could be the one pressing your buttons. Right? Like you're both in neutral. There's no rule that says you have to press second. Right? You can definitely press your own button there, especially in this situation right here. Like most of Chun's buttons are probably going to be in range, right? Crouching medium kick should be in range here, right? Forward medium punch probably in range too. So there's nothing that says you have to be the one to not press. Technically speaking, and this is a little more advanced here, but like you could have reacted to the dash, right? So they dash up, and then crouch, right? So you could have done something there on reaction to that, but that's kind of questionable, right? But they did dash, right? And you know that they dashed because you saw it, so they can't really do anything out of that. So if they dash too close, you can just react by on reaction, just press a button, right? Because I think here, if we look, right, so right here, right, you're already kind of crouching, right? You have charge. Right? So you probably could have pressed the button and it might have actually hit them, right? Something to consider. You could be the one pressing, or even something like this. I think you probably press, right? Like this, like something like that, right? Into a fireball of some kind, some sort of safe cancel.
Yeah.
Something to think about, right? Like those little optimizations, you can just autopilot them and they start to add up, over the course of a game or a set, right, or round. So
Yeah.
anyway.
I'm not even. I know that medium punch into fireball is a thing. It's just not something I'm thinking about right now because
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now I'm just focusing on if I press the button, am I going to hit them still?
And consider just landing the medium punch, right? So like if your brain is already primed to try to press that medium punch, the back medium punch, it's not going to be too difficult to add a cancel because the hard part of landing the hit is already getting done, right? You're already doing that. So again, something to consider later on. But for now, yeah, I think you have the right idea. Just get familiar, get comfortable with the buttons. Right. Nice. Perfect. Oh, didn't believe. But yeah, again,
I gotta. I think if anything, I'm gonna have to drill ranges of my pokes and to confirm better on that because I feel like that probably lost me some rounds against you, and it's definitely gonna be a problem going forward if I don't fix it right now.
I think so. I think that it's more of a liability to try to go for throw every time here.
Yeah.
You know,
Some people might take the throw. I mean, this might honestly work better at like 1300 MR than at plat 5.
if it was on block, maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think you might be outranged there. On hit though, you really should try to confirm that
Yeah.
into something, right? So
Yeah,
again, it's one of those
a really
things.
bad thing to just autopilot for sure.
Yeah. I think you just have to believe, believe in yourself that it's gonna hit, right? So, we can talk about what you can autopilot into that might be a little bit better than just throw, right? So. Oh, what a check!
Yeah. Oh, I
So
know
good.
Kamier came back. I'm gonna hope to pick his brain maybe this upcoming week on like some basic stuff I could be doing.
Yeah. I think we can. Getting the Chun specific stuff is going to help a ton for sure. There's plenty of good Chun-Lis that are out there that in any of the servers really that we both frequent that you can get some advice from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate. I think you win this round. No, you don't actually. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong health bar. Good check, right?
So this is the quote unquote easier combo I was talking about.
Yeah.
This is an execution error I've come up with before where you'll notice as I do it, I like do the punch. I do the crouching medium punch just fine, but I like speed run it and it doesn't come out. But it doesn't quite give me charge. So I'll do the crouching medium kick, which doesn't really link here, and then I will since I'm trying to focus on finishing the sequence, I don't really notice, and then SBK unblock, which is
Yeah.
I should die for that.
So yeah, what happens here though is I think you missed this link, right? So the crouching medium punch on hit is +8 in this situation here, and Chun's crouching medium kick is 8 frames, right? So, or is it 7? Yeah, 7 frames. So you actually have a frame buffer here, 1 frame extra buffer to hit this, right? So
I should not be doing this combo anyway. This is definitely a suboptimal combo.
yeah,
I should be trying to do
should try to go into
stance
stance.
cancel.
And honestly though,
I've,
it's
yeah,
not a
yeah.
huge deal right now. I think that if it's easier for you to land this combo in game, then go for it, right? You know, give yourself a little more time in the training room and all that stuff to drill the combo, drill the stance combos, right? So anyway, but yeah, it's just a missed link, right? I'm not going to be mad about that overall. That's just, you know, execution. What is tough here though is that you burn out, right? So even if you had landed this, and we saw that we did land that, you still had interaction away from winning here, so that'd be kind of tough. But unfortunately,
that's a problem I had on Manon too, who's also very drive hungry, where I would not really think about drive too often, and then I would realize I'm burned out.
Yeah.
And have to make. I think part of why I would lose a lot of games is I would burn myself out off of 2 good interactions, and then realize I'm burned out, and then start making riskier and riskier decisions to try to cover it.
Yeah, and then you know, obviously you're at a huge disadvantage if you're burned out early, right? You may not have super right away. You may get put in the corner, right? You can't handle all of the. You don't have, especially as Manon too. Well, not that would for anybody really. You don't have meter at all to reversal stuff, but it's difficult to hold plus frames in burnout, right? You don't have any options or tools to get out of that. So if that happens to you early, it's very easy to get put in the corner, and then from there you just die, right? Because either the DI is coming, or you try to dodge the DI and keep getting hit for it, right? So, but yeah, I think like meter management in general is something you'll have to add as well. Like, and really what that really boils down to is if you don't see green here, don't drive rush cancel. That's really like the simplest way I think to approach that. So. Yeah, the cross up, unfortunately. All right, are you getting a throw again?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, we've talked about that at length. I think you have an idea. Okay. So trying to get some lights in. Try to get some space. That's fine. Good check. Walk up jab. Totally fine. Right. Okay. All right. So, yeah, you need to add, well, I won't say you need to add shimmying to your game, but you should be paying attention to what your opponent is doing here, right? So let's see if that happens. All right. So you get the throw anyway. Okay. Yeah. So, like I was talking about earlier, right? How when you move into someone's space, it elicits some kind of response, right? Mm-hmm. This is one of those times where you should be paying attention to that, right? You walk into their space. Right? Delay tech. Delay tech again, right? So, like, immediately you should think that I should cause a situation that forces them to tech and shimmy it, right? Try to punish that delay tech, basically.
This is where I'll say something else that I don't really like understand is really shimmying. It's not like you can't shimmy with Manon. It's more like the way I play, there wasn't really any point because it's not like people are just going to be like, oh, she might go through the throw here. I better delay tech. Because if I'm that up close, they're way more scared of the command grab. So it wasn't like, so shimmying wasn't really a thing I had to worry about very much. And it's not something I do on anyone else.
Yeah, you can't delay tech a grappler, right? Because like, what are you?
Because people are not delay teching Zangief unless they have a super sick read that he's not going to SBD.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's like normally the risk reward for a delay tech is that you're defending against strike, you're defending against throw, and you're able to get a throw tech to prevent damage, right? The downside is that you're going to take 3,000 damage on a shimmy, right? But if there's no reason for you to delay, if you're trying to delay tech just for the strike, then there's no reason to delay tech, right? Because you can't delay tech a command grab, right? So there's no reason to do that option select specifically because the command grab exists, right? In fact, it's worse because if you go for the delay tech and you get command grabbed, you actually get hit out of that, right? And I want to say you end up getting counter hit and potentially punish countered if it's, well, it would just be counter hit, right? So there's no reason to delay tech against a grappler. So we can talk
shimmying
about,
is just not really shimmying is just not really something I did.
Okay. But let's talk about that
I'm trying
too.
to think about with this.
Yeah, let's talk about that too. In the lab. Okay. Right. Again, your opponent, like, what you should be thinking about. I know shimmying isn't quite there for you, but what you should be thinking about is like, my opponent has gone for a delay tech or a tech of some kind, right?
Yeah.
The last 3 times I'm in their face. So that suggests that they have either a habit or they're making a read on me, always going for throw, right? So in that case, you kind of have to think about, okay, what is the counter to the defense they're applying, right? In this case, it is shimmy of some kind, but that's the type of thinking that you'll have to get into, right? Because you can't force the situation anymore, like you could. Like if you're up here with Manon, right? This is scary as fuck, right? Like I'm gonna like if I'm Cammy here, I'm scared. I'm jumping, right? I'm gonna reversal and do something, right? Like right here, right? I'm not delay teching as Cammy against Manon in this situation, right? No way. I'm gonna reversal or I'm gonna jump, right? Or block. One of those 3 things. I'm not delay teching here, right? So, but if it runs Chun or other characters that aren't grapplers, you should delay tech, right? Or you can delay tech because it does defend against the strike throw, right? So. You get the throw eventually. Go for the DI. Doesn't quite work out. They were ready. They cash out. This isn't going to kill you, I don't think, right? Alright, so they're burned out. No meter, no anything. You have 1 hit away. Straight hit. CA. Let's see what happens. Okay. Ouch. Okay. But
you notice this is right when I noticed like fuck, I have like a sliver of drive left.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I start doing really weird stuff like I burned out. This is when I'm like, oh crap. Okay, Hazanchu. Poke.
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta press something, right?
I gotta make something happen here.
Yeah.
That was just the.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you do an okay job here keeping Cammy in the corner, actually. Minus, you could have probably won the game sooner had you shimmied them once or twice, right? Just because the damage up was so much higher. But if you think about what you're doing here, you're doing exactly what you should be doing, which is keeping them in the
I
corner.
watch a lot of Huntress. She's a popular VTuber, and she's in a lot of the AGM Slam. She plays Chun. And so I've honestly just been copying what I've seen her doing, which is kind of like standing right about where the clock is and like just annoying them with different pokes, high, low.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to move forward, move back?
Yeah,
it's something I'm trying to. Or also the jump stomp that Chun has, which is extremely annoying to try to deal with.
Yeah, that overhead.
Ryan showed me how to like aim to like be able to hit someone like twice with it. So I'm trying to incorporate that too because I know from experience that trying to defend against that stomp in the corner is very frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, that's general Street Fighter 6 though, right? Is you're just trying to let me just ban this guy real quick. Sorry, buddy, I don't need extra viewers. Where is that? There it is. Alright, so I'm just gonna hop into the lab here. And then let me invite you to. You don't have to join the whatchamacallit, the slot, but I just want to show you what I think you should be thinking about when it comes to a couple of different situations. So let me just invite you here. All right, so let's talk about the first thing I want to talk about is the light string stuff. Oh, okay. All right, seems good to me. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I want you to just block out. Let me turn stuff on. Hold on one sec here.
Same. It's very annoying that it turns all this stuff off.
Yeah, I think I should be able to turn it back on, right? Yeah, turn that on. I think that's all I need. Yeah, that. Okay. So just to go ahead and block out right? So, right. So right here, if you look at this frame advantage, it's +2, right? So what can we do from here, right? So if I just do a normal light string, which for Chun I think ends up looking like something like this, or something like that, right? So what happens after that, right, is 3 jabs, right?
Yeah.
Now on hit, you can confirm that into light kicks, light lane kicks, or you can confirm that if you want to into, I think you can confirm that into a spinning bird kick too, right? I think it's actually light or whatever. Right, whatever it is. So you can confirm, basically you get a light confirm, right, if you do it 3 times. But so where's the mix up, right? So what happens is if you block out, what happens, just go ahead and block, right? So if I do this, right, I'm plus here, right? So if I go for a throw instead, right, I get the throw.
Yeah, there's just like...
Yeah, it's too close. You have to guess, right? So try to if you try to mash out of this, right? So if you try to mash from, like, after on block, after I hit you, after I did a driver's cancel, just start mashing, right? Right, that's what's gonna happen, right? So, right, you'll get hit, a counter hit here, right? And then from there I can cancel that into like lightning kicks or whatever, right? So you can't mash, right, because I'm 2+. So what can you do, right? So from a defensive standpoint, what a lot of people will do is they'll delay tech through that, right? So if you delay tech through all of these, right? Obviously, if you're delay teching, right? Right. Obviously,
something you taught me last time.
Yeah.
Because I
And if I
wasn't
do
delay
this,
teching before that.
right, and if I do this, right, you'll break the throw. Right? Secondly, if I do it 2 times, right, I'm too far for a throw now, right? At least for Chun. So what does that mean, right? That means that the mix-up happens after the first jab is blocked on plus, right? So you have to decide on the defensive side what you're going to do. So if you delay tech after that first one, so go ahead and delay tech after the first jab. Like, right? So you see how I was able to just back up and then your throw whiffs because it's delay tech, and then I'm able to hit you, right? So that's where that mix-up comes in. So I can do this, right? And if you delay tech, I can hit you with a button, right? Right, or whatever Chun's button is. I did this earlier, or I did this earlier, but you know, whatever the case
that seems. I think her forward medium punch is going to be your
like this, right?
Because that's this seems a little. I'm not going to say stubby, but it seems like
it's really stubby actually, yeah. Because I think you're supposed to do this
compared to the forward medium. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is good, right? And you can cancel this if I'm not mistaken, right? So you do something like this, right? Right, on hit, right? But here's what I'm trying to get at is that autopilot wise, if you were to go into a block string from here, you could do this, right? Right. And what you're trying to get information, well, what you're trying to do is trying to glean what your opponent might be doing from there, right? So you can do something like this and just back up, right? And then you can punish their delay tech on reaction, right? So if I mash, go ahead and do that, right? I'm gonna get hit on the last one if I try to mash. And if I delay tech through that, go ahead and do it. Right? Right. If I delay tech through that, obviously I'm going to stop any pressure. But if you shimmy me and back up, right, I'm going to whiff my throw. Right? So...
Oh, or I should press button.
Yeah. So go ahead. Right? So that, right? That's what I'm talking about when it comes to, like, the shimmy. So that's the mix. That's like a fundamental mix-up with light strings, right? And it's something that you'll need to be doing more of when it comes to on block. When it comes to that situation where you land a driver's cancel on block. Obviously on hit, it's whatever, right? Like you just do this, right? Or sorry, I think it's this actually, right? Or whatever the combo ends up being. I don't actually know it, but. On hit, it's whatever, right? You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, right? Exactly. Right?
In the lab, I could do it just fine.
Yeah.
In a match, though.
In a match, it's different, right? But if I block it, then you can go into this light string pressure that forces a mix-up, right? So after you block 2 lights, right? Or block 1 light in the case of the driver's cancel here, what's going to happen next, right? If they delay tech through, you just shimmy them, right? And then you get a full punish, right? If they try to go for... And that punishes delay tech, right? If they just block it out, then you can do this, right? Right, and throw them. Right? And do that. Because again, if they go ahead and match here. Nope. Right? You can see how it counter hits you, right? Because I'm +2. So, like, you can't necessarily... If they decide to mash in that situation, you're going to get hit by the throw. Or even the strike, right? So if you can mash, right? I'm going to hit you with my for jabs, right? So that's like a fundamental mix-up there. Is that if they decide to delay tech through that pressure... then you shimmy them, right? And by shimmy, all you really have to do is like back up a little bit, right? Right, that's on hit, so go ahead and do that. I'm going to delay tech after the first hit, so go ahead. Right. Oh, that was insta-tech, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, you got to delay a little bit, so you have to actually wait for me to whiff the throw. There you go. Right. So,
Okay.
like
I
that.
have a better combo than that, but okay.
Yeah. But you get the idea that that's a clean hit, right? Clean counter hit, punish counter, right? Full damage, right? Full damage. But you can react to the throw, right? Because this right here, this is 30 frames, right? So, yeah. And if I do that, you can just press your button, right? So, like, that's how you open people up. And I think that's something you've been struggling with is because you've just been doing this. Right?
Yeah.
And and this will lose the delay tech every time, right? So, even if you do that, like, if you go into the throw, like, go and throw. Or, driver's cancel throw, yeah. Yep. Or see it on block here. Oh, that's not it. Basically, what I'm trying to do is reversal, right?
Yeah.
So if you go for that on driver's cancel, right? If you go for the jab, the block string is actually airtight, right? So go ahead and do it. Right, see, I can't reversal after the jab. But if you go for the throw, right, this is gonna blow you up, right? So what people will do is they'll OS the driver. They'll basically OS a DP here, right? So if you once they see the green for Chun anyway, they'll input a DP, right? And if there's a gap, the DP will come out, right? So if you go ahead and do this driver's cancel crouching mute kick to throw, right? They'll just OS that. But if you do the jab, right? Go ahead and do a jab. Nope.
Oops.
Right? You can see my inputs here. I was smashing the DP, but it didn't come out, right? And that's where that jab keeps you safe, right? So that's something that I should be doing more, but I wasn't really. But that's something that people will be doing to you eventually. I don't think you see it in Diamond really that often, but that's the reason why you want to keep that tight, right? When it comes to this,
I see it on Manon in my level of MR all the time because part of people are just scared if they see green from Manon. They're just, you know what? I'm not dealing with. I'm not dealing with
mash
that.
DP. All
Get out
day,
of here.
Right? Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's kind of the fundamental mix-up, if you will, that comes into play here because the late tech is so strong, or it can be strong. It stops both that strike and strike throw pressure right after this jab. So you're gonna have to learn to mix up your approach after that jab is mixed. And this is all on block, right? So really, what this is doing is helping train your autopilot.
Am I really +8 after the lightning kicks on block? There's no shot.
No, that's me. I'm +8.
You're +8.
Yeah,
I was like,
well,
there's no shot. They
yeah. Your frame meter is the bottom one, right? So I'm player one in this case, right? So, but yeah, the lightning links there is pretty minus, right? So I just do this right into whatever, right? But the idea here is that you want to autopilot. Your initial autopilot should be going into jabs on block, right? So, right, something like that, ideally. Now, I don't know if Chun has something else on block, so go ahead and block this.
Yep.
Right, so if you do that, that's +5. But the main difference is that you can't throw, right? So go ahead and block. Right, I can't reach you for a throw anymore, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're +5, what that really means is that I can press another button here, like this, and if you mash against that, you're gonna get hit, right? So it's a different thing there. So a little bit, it's. What I'm trying to get at is that in these plus frame situations, and you'll have to hit the lab a little bit and maybe ask some Chun mains on what they do, but these plus situations are how you open people up, right? Like you generate these, either it's on block or something like that, and then there's a mix-up because they have to guess what's happening next, right? Now, at a higher level, right, and, let me rephrase that. Against a grappler, there's not really too many option selects you can do, right? You can reversal, like we saw, right? But I can't delay tech, right? I can't cover both strike and throw because the command grab is a real thing, right? I have to jump that, backdash it. And if I'm wrong and you strike, I get hit, right? So that's why that 50-50 is a little different for a grappler. But for a strike throw character like Chun, or a character like Chun that's not a grappler, you have to, when those plus frames happen, you have to force them to make a decision, right? And what happens at a higher level is that people are option selecting against everything, right? Like delay tech is like a fundamental option select, but you can also do stuff like delay jab. You can do stuff like delay tech, delay jab, do POS, right? Like there's a bunch of stuff you can be doing, right? So at a higher level, what really ends up happening is your offense is like, I'm going to guess that you are not you are going to do an option select that loses to this thing, right? So I'm going to guess you're getting delay tech. So that means I'm going to shimmy you, right? Like, if that makes sense, right? Similarly, on the defensive side, is like, oh, I think you're going to do, I'm trying to do an option select that will cover 3 or 4 options that you're going to do that I think you're going to do, right? Or alternatively, the way that I play defense, and something you can consider thinking about yourself too, is I've decided I'm going to lose to this option. I'm going to take the throw, for example. Now, what option can I do on defense that covers as many things as possible that aren't throw, right? Like, if that kind of thinking makes sense, right? So, you know, approaching the game in that way can make things feel a little bit easier, because I feel like one of the things that's difficult is, how do I guess, right? How do I know what I'm supposed to do? Or how do I, you know, everyone talks about, oh, this is such a, you know, a RPS heavy game, right? You have to guess all the time, and why do I always feel like I'm wrong? What it really boils down to is, like, can you decide, or can you be okay with losing to a specific option, and can you find an option on your end that covers multiple options from your opponent, right? What it really ends up being a lot of times at a higher level is, does my option select line up with their option select in a way that that allows me to hit them, if that makes sense, right? And alternatively, on the defensive side, does my option select land up with their options so that I'm able to defend what they're doing, right? And again, like, delay tech is like the prime example of this, right? If I delay tech, I'm going to beat strike, I'm going to beat throw, but I'm going to lose to shimmy, right? And that's how that goes, right? So, but that is something I want you to add to your game, is just this, right? So on block, on hit, you know, it's that, right? But on block, you want to do the jabs, right? So, right? Maybe not the cancel, thing, because unless you confirm this, right? So if you confirm that into hit, then you can do the special. But if it's on block, right, don't end in a special, right? Because it's -8, right? So exactly, right? You can do throw now, right? And then if I start delay teching, right, like that, now you can try shimmying me, right? Right? And then press the right button, obviously, but I think you get the idea, though.
Yeah.
And that's how you play offense,
I think this button's gonna carry me, because this button seems gross.
This is good. That one's really good, right? Because you see a lot of this too from, like, Chuns, like that a ton. like how do you deal with this, right? Like, just right, like, absurd. Shake my hand, right? And this jab too. Like, this jab is really good, right? Goes so far. But yeah, that would be, you know, whatever the optimal shimmy ends up being button for Chun. Maybe it is this. I actually don't know. But whatever it is, like, I would lab that combo as well, right? Because one of the things that Chun is good at, because of her walk speed, is that shimmy, right? So being able to land a shimmy, especially in, like, the corner, can be how you win games, right? That's like a 3,500 damage combo, and that's huge, right? Being able to do that. So that's one aspect, I think, like, in terms of that you were kind of struggling with, was that autopilot. And then I think there was something else I was supposed to talk to you about, but I forgot. Was it, See, you can do the comp. Psh, out of here.
Yeah. It's funny, because, like, a week ago, like, I couldn't even do the stance cancel, because this is a weird input.
Oh, this down.
Now it's not the stance cancel, it's just the SPK.
Yeah, it's like the down heavy punch, right? Crouching heavy punch into stance. It's like, it's weird, right? But let's see, what was the other thing I want to talk about? So there was the mix-up piece there. So now you have an idea, right, of, like, this is what light strings do for you, right? Additionally, something you can add as well is the low. So you can add a low into this. So
well,
you know, like, something like that, like this, right? So you start with the low instead. The reason for that is because people might back up on you, right? So if I do go ahead and do a driver's cancel into a crouching light kick, right? Some people will just hold back here, right? And if you try to go into a throw, so go ahead and do I think it's crouching light kick into, or do your crouching medium kick into immediate throw. Crouching medium kick, driver's cancel, immediate throw. I guess you can't walk out of this. There are some cases where, depending on the move, or depending on the situation, they'll try to back up out of pressure, right? So doing something like the low here can help. Like, if they try to back up after that first jab, you see this a lot too, probably, right? Something like that. So if they decide to back up after the first jab, you can catch them with that low, right? And then confirm from there, right? So I'm going to back up after the first jab, and then you just go for a crouching light kick.
Oh shit.
Right, and then you can I think her stand light jab or stand jab reaches from there, right? So that's something you can add to instead of just doing this, right? You can do right. Include the low instead, right? So it's basically what you're trying to do is get them to do something else when you have plus frames, right? And then you can open them up from there, right? Because once they start backing up, you can just tag them with a crouching medium kick, right? Like right after. So something like that. Yeah. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I think that was the main thing. More fireballs is good. Oh, the last thing I'll mention before, if you want to run it back, would be how do I get better at spacing, right? So you're in the lab, right? You have these like lines that kind of go across the thing, right? So the idea would be for you to figure out what buttons do I want to press in neutral. Probably this one. That's a good one. This is good, right? This is all right too.
Yeah. Obviously, since I'm playing a more normal 6f6 here, I got to use, and I feel like this one feels this kick feels like it has huge range compared to Mai's.
It actually has a good amount of range. It's kind of deceptive. It has a little bit of a disjoint. So if you look at like where her foot is, there's a little bit more of a hitbox that comes out. I do think there's a little bit more recovery. I think it's like 19 frames or something, whatever it is. But it's really good. I would definitely use this, right, if you can. But if you think about what buttons you want to use in neutral, right, there's a couple that make sense, right? Like crouching medium kick is a good one. Right, this is a good one, crouching medium punch. Right, this. Stand heavy punch is a good one to just know the range of, right? So I think you get a cancel from here if you get on punish count or whatever, right? And then your forward and back medium punch, right, this guy, right? So the way I would do it would be you take your character into training mode, right? And then you kind of stand at a range where you think it'll hit, right? So from here, I think it'll hit. It won't, right? I don't know her spacing or whatever. But you try to land it at the tip of the range of the move, basically, right? So try to get it so that you're as far away as possible, but you still land the hit, right? And then I would do that for all your normals, right? So you get used to the spacing. What you're going to find, and this happens for most people, is that you need to be standing a lot closer than you think you need to be, right? Like, you need to kind of be, like, kind of almost uncomfortably close for a lot of these moves to actually hit, right? Like, if I'm standing here, not doing anything, like, you have to stand, it looks like you're standing a lot closer than what you normally would be, right? This is pretty close, if you think about it. But that's just something you have to get used to, right? How far can I stand to land my normals, right? And what you're going to find is, as you get better at landing them at the tip of the ranges, you're going to be getting hit a lot less because you're standing further away than they potentially are, right? So if I have to walk all the way up here to try to get my crouching medium kick to tag you, you're going to do something way before I can get in range of that, right? But if I'm doing it from here, right? If I'm here, trying to land it, right? Something like that. I'm further away, so it's like there's a little more advantage on my part, right? I'm able to kind of dance in and out of that range effectively, right? So I think if you do those two things, right, along with grinding out some of the combo stuff, I think you're going to find that it will be a lot easier to pilot the character, right? You're going to land more hits. You're not going to whiff as much, right? There's a lot of other stuff we could talk about in terms of like whiff punishing and Oki situations and all that, but I think these are probably the ones you'll need to be paying. Like doing this like initially is going to help a ton when it comes to like how to pilot the character. Because I feel like what will happen is you're going to start doing this more, right? And into like shimmy stuff. Yep. Right, and then shimmying more and all that. And you're going to find you're going to be getting way more damage overall, right? So, and then eventually, as you get good, you'll be able to do those cool air juggles or whatever, right? That all the good Chuns do. Oh, I can't get the air. There's no air parry, right?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, well, anyway. So yeah, I think, like, doing that will help a ton. I know one of the things that you struggled with was opening people up. That is one thing. And then I think, like, when it comes to neutral, so how to win more neutral interactions is to get better at the spacing, right? So what you're going to find is as you're standing further away, you're going to see people whiffing a lot more. And you'll get better at recognizing the space that they whiff at, and then you'll be able to whiff punch, right? So it's like the main way I think you get better at that is just doing that more, right? So let's see what else. I think that's really it. Honestly, like, I feel like on Oki situations, you probably could do more delayed text and more reversals overall if you felt like it, but just blocking is mostly okay. I did throw loop you one of the games, and I think it's just you just refused to tech, which is fine, that happens. But what I will say is that Ken specifically, if you back roll his throw in the corner, the link for a throw loop is now 1 frame. So if you back roll against Ken in the corner, if you're already cornered, it makes the throw loop a 1 frame link, right? So
I know back rolling is really helpful. It's not something I've ever really done.
Yeah, you should be.
I know I should be back rolling.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm focused on other things right now, and I feel like back rolling is not necessarily going to win me games. Knowing my combos is going to win me games, so that's what I'm going to focus on for now. But I know I should be back rolling.
Kind of. What I will say is that when you back roll mid screen, it makes it so that your opponent has to spend drive for Oki, or they don't get an Oki setup, right? So you need to be back rolling because, at least mid screen in most cases, you know, against like JP or Gal or Sim, maybe not. But the big reason why I think, you know, it's not that it's not going to win you games, but you will lose less games if you back roll mid screen, right? Because if you're giving your opponent free Oki, that gives them a free opportunity to open you up, right? And avoiding that is better than allowing it to happen, right? And it's not like a huge mental stack thing either. Just when you get knocked down, right, just hold down 2 buttons, right, and then let the back roll happen, right? Like you can just add that to your what you're doing, right? In the corner, it makes a little less sense because obviously you're back in the corner, unless you're against Ken throwing you. When Ken throws you in the corner, then you should back roll, because for some reason Capcom made that the 1 frame link and not like the normal getup, and we don't, like, Ken players don't know why either. It doesn't make sense to us either. So, but yeah, it shouldn't be something that is like a huge taxing mental stack thing. You could just hold down 2 buttons when you get hit, right? You can even hold parry if you want or whatever. But like if you knock me down here, I'm just gonna hold down 2 buttons, right? And it's not like a huge deal, right? Yeah. But if you don't do this, your opponents can get Oki, right? So like if I'm here and I throw you, well, and you see how close this is, right? If I throw you and you back roll, just hold it, go in and back roll here. Like, look how much further that is, right? I can't drive rush in as much or as easily, right? But if you don't back roll, I could do something like this now, right? Or whatever, right? So you want to make that, because even, and maybe Chun isn't the best example of that on the throw, but for other characters that have some sort of mid-screen pressure that relies on drive, you want them to have to spend drive. If they get in a free Oki situation, like, that's not great for you overall, right? It's something you need to be aware of, right? So cool. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I would think that that's probably the low-hanging fruit for you, other than of course the combo stuff and more fireballs, but you can add that later. Not a huge deal for fireballs. Combo stuff you can grind on your own, not too worried about that. You'll get that eventually. So cool. Any other questions you can think of right now?
No, I think those 3 major things will help out a bunch by themselves.
Okay. Cool. You want to run it back? Get another set?
Hell yeah.
All right,
Hell yeah.
do it. Leave the mics on because it's funny. Go from there.
I think the one thing we didn't touch on is Tensho's a really rough anti-air input.
Oh,
that's just something I'm gonna have to practice.
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for that. Other than
you don't jump a bunch, so it's not as obvious. But you know, I'm playing in plat. People are fucking jumping for no reason at all. So
yeah,
something I got to work on.
That was good. Nice.
Oh, that's not a combo. Fuck. Nice.
Oh, I caught back. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, that works? Okay.
Oh, that was cool.
Nice.
Oh, shit.
Oh. Oh, I didn't DP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's not a lot I can do there.
Yeah, I mean, you could level 1 potentially, but that's may not be the best decision anyway. You gotta try to, like, not burn out. Nice. Nice.
Okay, that's not the button to press.
Yeah. You try to jab there, might have accidentally put a stance.
Yeah.
Oh, no cancel? Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to super there, it didn't come out. So yeah, I think what happened at the end there is he kind of got happy to mash, and I just kind of did a meaty jab and it got you. So.
Mhm.
Nice.
Shit,
Ooh,
okay.
caught. Oh, I'm not sure what Chun's cross-up button is. Oh, nice.
No
Oh,
Tensho!
oh, Tensho is not the best. I mean, it's her anti-air, but man, it has problems. I think they need to fix that. Ouch. Nice.
I backed up again.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, you're trying to press
So
a little too
so
much.
I was trying to level 2.
Oh.
So this has been a problem. This is a problem. Shun's level 2 input is forward quarter circle forward kick.
Yeah.
Forward circle.
I think it's two quarter
Manon's
circle, yeah.
is quarter circle back. So I was trying to do Manon's input, and nothing was coming out.
Oh.
From 3, so.
Yeah, I would explain the crouching medium punches then. Nice. Oh, careful on the drive meter. Oh, nice.
No.
Ah! Damn
I
it.
thought I was dead.
I don't. I was gonna level 1 there, and it might have been close, but dropped it. You gotta be careful on drive rushing on lights, because it'll just come out. Man, that thing really goes super far.
It's crazy. And you're in the corner. Great corner carry. After playing this character for a bit, I can see why they didn't give her a throw loop, because her corner pressure and carry seems insane.
Yeah, she's just not designed around it the same way, I think. Oh, nice. Because, like, I feel like with her, the way she's kind of designed is to just get you in the corner and then poke you to death, right? So
Yeah. And just, like, stand at mid-range and do...
yeah, just hit you, right? Okay, that was much better.
Don't do the whole sequence.
But don't know this, yeah. Yeah, but that was much better though. Like that mix up you did, the 3 lights, that was much better, right? Ah!
Yeah, I got no choice. It's either do this or just die. So
yeah, without well, I mean, you had a chance to come back, but it would have been tough. But you can see how much better you did once you kind of were like, all right, I'm just gonna focus on landing my button. I don't care what happens after. I just want to make sure that when I press my button, it's gonna hit them, even if it's blocked. Yeah. Doesn't matter, right? Like, if you hit me at a decent range and I block it, it doesn't matter if it's my turn now. The point is that you landed it. You can't get whiff punish from there, right? When you're pressing.
I gotta use that heavy. That heavy punch range is ridiculous.
It's absurd. Yeah, it's really good.
And if I catch you pressing on it, I get a combo out of it too.
Yeah,
It's
the crouching medium
I'm
punch,
gonna
I
try to
think.
use
So,
that. Yeah,
yeah. I wouldn't rely on it too much, mostly because I think it's not special cancelable, right?
it is
So
not
I can
cancelable.
DI
So if
you
I
if
get,
you.
it's like a Manon's heavy kick.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's good at like a certain range, but if you get too happy with it,
yeah. You're gonna get DI, especially at
people
the
are gonna
range you're
get
at.
DI and
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
you.
Like you
Yeah.
just have to keep it, mix it up, right? But you saw how much better your games went for you when the two things we talked about happened, right? You didn't whiff buttons. You made sure, or you tried your best to make sure that the buttons you pressed landed. I think were getting better at the walk speed aspect. So when you moved in, you were like, okay, I can walk in. This is about how long it takes. I'm gonna press. And then when you did driver's cancels, the one time you did do the light string, even though it did end up you ended up canceling, unfortunately, but
Yeah, it's
you
yeah.
saw
Coming
how
from Manon,
yeah
Manon is like, she's not like mega slow or anything. I think her walk speed is just slightly below average, but Chun feels like I'm like sprinting at all
yeah
times
yeah yeah
compared
yeah.
to her.
It feels like
Sometimes
I'm
I'll like go in
just
and out
drive
of range
rushing,
and
right?
whip my own button.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think like if you incorporate those things and start getting into like using light strings as a tool to open people up with those plus frames you're getting, I think you're gonna find people will open up. It'll open people up a lot more, right? You'll find that it's easier to get hits, right? As long as you don't go into driver's throw all the time. Now, it is good to do it once in a while, right? If you think they're just going to hold pressure and block, going into that makes a lot of sense to do, right? Because they're just going to block, take the throw. But you do,
Worked against me a couple times because
yeah.
at a certain point I didn't want to one chance at it. So you know what, I'll take the throw because
Yeah.
it's the best option
Yeah,
here.
and it's like I don't mind using a little bit of meter for that if that's what I'm gonna get. It is what it is, right? I mean, I do mind using meter for. I should take it back. It shouldn't shouldn't be using meter for just throw. But if
I
that's
think
what
it's
I'm gonna
also
get out of
like
it,
trying to condition someone where the only thing I was doing in the first set was driver's throw. So there was no conditioning going on because
yeah.
I wasn't thinking about
And
it.
there's no
The
reason for
second
me
one,
to
I'm
do
like,
anything
if I
else. Yeah.
throw you a couple times and then jab, maybe I can catch you something. Maybe you'll get scared to like do that in the future of the first of two.
Yeah. So the idea is usually, and this is something that I think about, is that like you want to meaty strike, meaty throw, until I start delay teching, right? And then once I start delay teching, that's when you start shimmying me, right? And then once I start trying to beat the shimmy with a wake up button, that's when you go back to the meaty stuff, right? So like that rotation of your options and lining it up with the defensive options is how the game is played, right? You just have to get an idea of what your opponent likes to do, what they've been tending to do, and what you think they're going to do, and then just do that, right? And apply the counter, right? So I think if you incorporate the light string thing more, you're going to start seeing more of those situations happen, right? Like, oh, they delay teched. Perfect, I can shimmy them, right? Oh, they just blocked it out. I'm going to start throwing them. Or I can do something else, right? They're just blocking. I can go for something greedy now, right? Maybe I can do jab into like crouching medium punch or whatever else, right? And get more plus frames or a different situation, right? So, like, that's how the game ends up being played. Is you try to open them up by enforcing some sort of defensive option from them that they have to pick, and then rotating so that the defensive option will eventually lose, right? That's just how it is. Since you don't have a built-in 50-50 anymore, that's how you have to play it, right? So
Yeah.
cool, man. So I think we can leave it there. Is there anything else you want to ask before we wrap up?
No, that was great. I'm
Cool,
gonna
man.
try to focus on that. I think even just focusing on not whiffing my buttons and like doing light strings to try to like get them to respect me a little bit on will help me out a bunch.
Yeah.
Especially where I'm at with her right now.
I think 100%.
And then the combos, I think I should just like put on a podcast and get these combos sorted.
Yeah, it's just
'Cause
execution.
I've hit
yeah.
some combos in our second set, and I felt like I was doing much better because I was doing damage.
Yeah. You won a game, right? Because like you won enough interactions and you converted a couple of them into damage, right? So, like you saw it, right? Like if you don't whiff buttons, and it's easier to, it's less likely you'll lose because you're taking less damage from getting whiff punished, right? If you don't whiff, if you can't get whiff punished, if you don't whiff, right? So,
Yeah.
So yeah, cool, man. I'm just
Thanks
gonna
so
wrap
much.
up
It
on
was
stream, and if you take off if you want to, but otherwise, have a good night, man. Cool. This has been Sit Down and Shut Up. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you. For all of your messages, Hornhead, see you there. I know I don't really react to people in chat during training session, but I do appreciate you guys. Your chats, your follows, and all that stuff. Do appreciate it. So this has been Sit Down and Shut Up. I run this through the Fight Rise Discord. So Fight Rise is a fighting game community focused on. Bury the bot. So yeah, shout out to Fire Rise. I run this through them. They are a fighting community focused on Street Fighter 6. They do a bi-weekly tournament called One Fight Stand, where you have a 7-round Swiss if you're in Master. I think it's they split it up into High Master, Low Master now. So if it's a rank separated tournament, happens every Tuesday. I think if you're below Master, they'll put you in a round robin pool if there are enough folks in those ranks. Come out, it's a good time, hang out, get away, get tournament sets. They also do community events through their Urge to Fight series. You can check them out at twitch.tv/FightRiseFGC for some of the older stuff that has been put out there. Those community events are great. You know, we showcase folks in the community. They get to play games on stream, get commentated and all that good stuff. It's a lot of fun. They also, if you're interested in a coaching session like this for me or one of the fantastic coaches they have at Fight Rise FGC, please join the Discord. Take a look at the section called, I think it's called Level Up now. There's a couple of channels for the various coaches. Right now it's myself, Juzzy. There's also Jason Loserpants and Satora who do coaching. They have their own channels there, so take a look at the pins. You can sign up for coaching for any one of them. It's free for now. It's free right now for me anyway. So if that's something you're interested in, and you like what I'm doing here, and you want some session like this for yourself, please join Discord. Take a look at the messages there, or the pin messages in our channels to get coaching. Another thing I'll plug is the Newbie Fight Club. So the Newbie Fight Club is a fighting community focused on getting newer players into the game. They do lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Every other Friday, although this has kind of been, I think it's starting to waver off now because the TO is a little bit busy, but they do bi-weekly tournaments, or they were doing bi-weekly tournaments on Fridays. They may change the date for that. Wednesdays is typically the newbie lobby night, so if you're new to the game and want to get casual games, you can join us in one of the battle hubs. You can join voice chat and talk your way through the games and meet some folks and hopefully have a good time and learn that way. Mondays is Modern Monday, so if you are a Modern player and want to get into a lobby night where other people are playing Modern Monday is the way to go. You don't have to play Modern, but it's encouraged, if you want to try it out. I think they are still doing Modern monthlies, so once a month on Mondays there will be a Modern only tournament. So again, if you're a Modern warrior, want to go up against other Modern warriors and show off your skills, there is a double elimination. I think it's double elimination anyway. Maybe it's Swiss, I don't know. But there's a tournament that happens monthly that is run there. Both of these, I'm very active in both these communities, so if you want to talk to me at all or reach out to me if you ask any questions, please reach out to me on any of those Discords. Other than that, I thank you guys all for watching, appreciate it, and have a good night.